Not even 24 hours ago, right here in this very special place, a young couple exchanged their vows and became husband and wife. Today is the first full day of their married life. What's very beautiful about the ceremony is they utilized the Mexican lasso in their liturgy for the wedding. And Mexican lasso looks like a large rosary, even has components of the rosary, but it isn't a rosary because the center is linked, and in the center is a crucifix, and one loop is draped over the shoulder of the groom and one over the shoulder of the wife. It's one of the most beautiful symbols I've seen in Catholic liturgy, in really popular piety, where the marriage life is symbolized in this simple material object, symbolizing husband and wife joined in the center by Christ. There's no better symbol that I can think of that represents marriage, and I hope they enshrine this Mexican lasso on their wall as they move into married life to remind them of what marriage truly is. And when something takes the place of Christ in the center, that's when marriages have problems. And I talked to them about 2 years ago when our pilgrimage group went to Cana as part of our Holy Land visit, how many of the couples exchanged their vows, renewed their vows when we were at Cana, and how excited they were. And I looked over the age range of the different couples, ranging, some of them even 50 or more years of marriage. And I have to ask myself, why did these marriages persist when 50% end in divorce? Why did they persist? One of the couples just had their 8th child. Beautiful. And then other couples have long since exited the childbearing years. Why did these marriages persist when others have failed? I think part of the answer is in the first reading, that the prayers of the humble pierce heaven. That these faithful couples, knowing that marriage is not easy, have endeavored to pray together that they may persist in the married life, because it is not easy. There are a lot of things that seek to destroy married life. A lot of things out there. And I also thought too about an insurance policy that you could take out on your marriage. Now I realize there are different age groups here, and what I have to share is the truth of the church, and you all have a right to that truth, whether you're in the childbearing years or not, because most of you have grandchildren and great-grandchildren and children, and they need the truth. Because oftentimes, adult children will go to their parents and say, well, here's the church teaching about our fertility, but what do you say? Because we don't want to really do this. It looks really hard. Doesn't look like it works. What I'm talking about is natural family planning, an insurance policy for your marriage. 50% of marriages end in divorce. Do you know that couples that practice natural family planning, less than 5% divorce rate? Less than 5%. That is like an almost 100% insurance policy to take out on your marriage. Why? Couples that are not even Christian, couples that may be agnostic, still have the same statistics if they practice natural family planning. Why? The answer, I believe, is in the first reading. The answer, I believe, is in the first reading, and I'll read that really quick. Beautiful. The one who serves God willingly is heard. The one who serves God in humility is heard. That's amazing. Even if you unknowingly serve God by following His plan for reproduction, You're heard. Even if you're an agnostic, somehow your marriage persists. That's incredible. Friends, I haven't preached a homily on this particular topic for 2.5 years. Why? Because someone at this Mass 2.5 years ago, somebody I've known for decades, somebody that's come to St. Timothy's for decades, left. This person wrote me a very strange email, didn't say she was leaving, but hasn't come back. Why? And it's not exactly the reason you think. She objects to natural family planning, whereby one in a marriage sees the beautiful cycle of fertility built into the human female. They're fearfully and wonderfully made, and there's these indicators when she is fertile, amazing, all these things, and then the couple can make a decision. Hey, we know we're very fertile, and we can practice temporary continence, or we can engage, realizing our procreative powers at this point. That's human freedom. God gives you that. But this person says, no, there shouldn't be any regulation at all. You should come together whenever you like. Now, you can do that as a Catholic. Father Charlie and I agonized over this for weeks, and we talked about it. And he says, yes, those people are called providentialists. And it's okay to be personally a providentialist in the church. But this person listens to this, I call him a weirdo, on YouTube, who thinks that NFP is nothing more than Catholic contraception, which is totally false. And he gets up there and he says, this is only to be used for serious circumstances. Yes, and the church outlines those serious circumstances, economic reasons. My gosh, when you talk to women, families, husbands and wives, and you say, oh man, they're really struggling financially, they can practice birth spacing. That's a serious reason. It's physical. Sometimes a child is born disabled, and the parents say, okay, we got to slow down. We got to catch our breath here. This is a lot of work. Yes, you can practice birth spacing. There could be social reasons. War could break out or other circumstances. And this man, he doesn't take any of this into account. He himself admits that he lived a very, very sinful life in the past, and now he's putting heavy burdens on people and not lifting a finger to lift them. And so this person espouses this mentality. No, it's made me hesitate to preach on this. So I've sat down with Father Shea, and I said, look, we need to preach one homily on this per year so the people know. The people have a right to know what the Bible teaches, what the church teaches. You have a right to know. It may upset you. People do get angry, as that person did. But you have a right to know. You have a right to know that practicing NFP in a marriage, less than 5% chance of divorce. Deacon Jim told me yesterday, he told the congregation yesterday, he works in annulment ministry. Of all the cases that he's processed in 9 years, one case where the couple practiced NFP and divorced. One. Friends, we get upset and we say, no, this doesn't work. This church is wrong. And this is rhythm. No, it's the perfection of the rhythm method. And believe it or not, as imperfect as the rhythm method was, even in my own family, the first child that was born, the first child was born, and it was 5 more years until the second child was born. And NFP is so much more perfected than that. No, you have a right to know the truth. And people say, well, it's just the same as using birth control. Well, then, if it's the same, why wouldn't you choose this? Because the cost is minimal. A thermometer, and you check certain bodily fluids, And there may be some other ways to check things to even more precisely pinpoint fertility. But no, it's not the same. And the couples that practice natural family planning know that it's not the same. Did you know, first of all, who created the contraceptive pill? A man. Who created the IUD? A man. Ladies, what does that tell you? What does that tell you? And with the contraceptive pill and the IUD, they're not always contraceptive. Sometimes conception happens. And these devices, sometimes after contraception happens, meaning that a human life has come into being, they make the uterine wall inhospitable for implantation of that fertilized egg, that ovum. I don't want you to live with that kind of stuff. I don't want you to live with divorce. One of my friends that I worked with, now deceased at Empire Machinery, he underwent a divorce and he said it was worse. It was worse than someone dying. I don't want that for you. I don't want that for you. No, we need to be humble. We need to be humble and we need to pray like the tax collector. See, he knew he messed up. He knew he messed up. And he humbled himself before God and he prayed. And see, the other guy, he was convinced of his own self-righteousness. What I'm doing is right. This guy's wrong. I know better. God couldn't receive that prayer. It wasn't even a prayer. It was himself talking to himself. But the other guy, he beats his breast. Lord, forgive me. I'm a sinner. And the Lord wants to confer justifying grace on each and every one of us, just like he did the tax collector. Piercing the heavens with our humble prayer. This is how we get in touch with God. By doing those good works, he blesses us. Friends, if we're still persisting in some sort of sinful activity, maybe it's contraception, maybe this homily upsets you. I'm glad you sat through and listened to it. Pray about it. There have been couples that came to me and said, we've done this for a while and we're ready to take a risk. We're ready to move into this. We have classes, we have connections all over the diocese that you can avail yourself of. Why did those marriages persist? Why do couples, even non-Catholic, even non-Christian couples, persist when they practice natural family planning? Because they have dovetailed into God's plan for human fertility. Friends, no matter what sin we struggle with, let us take the example of the tax collector today. Let us humble ourselves before God and receive the justifying grace he wishes to confer upon us.